Welcome back to the Caffeinated Comic Club. This is a podcast where Marsh and I talk about comics and drinks and life and all of the things. And sometimes I cry. Maybe not today. We'll see. What are you sipping on today, Marsh?
I have two Pepsi Zeros today. I have a can and I have a bottle because Pepsi is superior to Coke.
Okay. I love how committed you are to the brand and the bit. I'm drinking water. I'm still doing mostly no caffeine. I haven't had Diet Coke since Friday, I think. No, that is not true because I went to this Mexican grocery store in my area called Guelaguetza, if you know, you know. And they had cherry float Coke, zero sugar there. And
Ooh, yum.
I have not been able to find the zero sugar anywhere. It is incredible. It tastes like ice cream. It tastes like it's just great. And no sugar. So yeah, I haven't had caffeine since Saturday and I'm still thriving, weirdly.
It's good. That's good. I am trying to curb how much energy drinks I'm drinking, and so like the past couple days I've been so tired. I'm like, that means I've been drinking too much caffeine.
Yeah. Your body is like cleansing itself and is exhausted. I'm very aware of the concept. I
Mm-hmm.
went through it about a week ago. But you're gonna feel so much better in just a couple of days. Like,
I hope
I don't
so.
know.
I just feel
I'm
so
kind
tired all the time.
I'm kind of living for like a clean spring. What we're having. Is the spring there yet? Are you still in winter?
It's springtime for them, I think. It was about 50 something today.
No. Okay. Okay. I support your journey. That's crazy. It was 75 here today. It's almost pool
Ooh, that's
time.
a
I
nice
think,
day. That's a nice day.
yeah. I think in like a week, I'll be able to go to my parents' pool and then take over for the summer, which means that I'll be there every day, even if they don't want me to be. They can't stop me. The pool is outside. So, yeah, a lot of pool
That's
content
funny.
coming forth. This is a spoiler heavy podcast. We get into the nitty gritty fairly often on this. So if you do not want to know exactly what happens in the story that we are about to talk about, you can leave, but you don't have to. Like, you should just spoil yourself, you know, treat yourself to someone else giving you a little story. And that's what we're going to do today with Radiant Black by Kyle Higgins and a bunch of other people. I'm going to say all the last names because their first names are not on the cover. Costa, Carey, Chen, Ferragamo, La Fuente, Marquez, and Muerto. And before we move on to other housekeeping items, I do want to say before we get into anything else that I really loved this book this week.
I really liked it. I don't know if I loved it, but I really enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it.
Okay, I will say when I say love, I mean I continue to read far beyond what we were supposed to read. And I can't tell you if I loved it before the 6 issue cutoff or not. But we'll all see.
That's
We'll all
fair.
talk about why kept going. Did you have self control? Did you read past?
Well, I finished it last night, so and then I was like, I
Period.
have a huge backlog of books, so I read a whole bunch of single issues today instead of. I want to read more because like I'm intrigued by like the concept. But like I said, I just have too much of a backlog right now, so I need to
Well,
get through that.
I'm very proud of you for being productive. Lord knows that that is not me. My backlog is insane, and we're not even gonna talk about it. But I'm proud of you because your stack is also pretty big.
It is.
Next week on the pod, we are going to be reading 20th Century Men by Dennis Camp and Stipend Morian. That's what it looks like. I don't know much about this book other than I'm excited about it, and it is thick. It is a thick book.
For it only being 6 issues, it feels really big.
Yeah, yeah. I couldn't even tell you how many pages this is, but I'm
Like
flipping
that's
through, and
crazy.
the art is really cool. Oh my God, is that Sam Elliott again?
So like,
Wait,
so like, as hang on, as a comparison, this is Radiant Black, right? This is like
yeah.
it is Sam Elliott. So this is Radiant Black. This is also 6 issues, but then you have this big behemoth of a thing that's also 6 issues. Why is it so much different?
Maybe that's just. Oh wait, it's Image. I was about to say. I thought it was a different company. Maybe it's just thick paper. Maybe she's just chunky paper.
You're not wrong. I've seen a lot of like book talk group. Like my sister talks about books all the time. She's like, I have this book and it's the same amount of pages. It just looks way bigger, and I'm like, that's ridiculous. Why?
Yeah, thicker paper, smaller font, larger
Mm-hmm.
font, all kinds of things. Yeah, we're gonna dive into that. So if you're interested in 20th Century Men by Dennis Camp, join us next week. Quick little foray into the future. Next month is Pride Month. We have posted an announcement video with what books, and we're going to have some guest hosts from the TikTok community. We're going to have Brandito Verse, Final Hex Girl, Dorkical, and Zach's Comics, 4 people that we adore and that are just fun and funny. And yeah, I think it's going to be a great time to talk about queerness and community and allyship and how those reflect us in comics. And yeah, just very excited about it. It's going to be a good old time. We've played video games with Brandito before and with Hex before, and they're both so funny. And I feel like the conversation's just going to flow really well with all 3 of us in each respective episode. Excited about next month. I'm also excited about this week because there's a lot of really good books coming out this week. What are your pulls for the week, Marsh?
My pulls this week are Absolute Batman number 20. I'm actually getting cover A, and I'm also gonna get a variant cover, which I usually don't do. Javier Rodriguez is doing a variant. It's the Tim Drake variant, and it looks really cool, so I'm grabbing that. Bleeding Hearts number 4, Captain America number 11, which I'm still like 4 or 5 issues behind on that, so I have no idea what is even happening. Orc number 4, Iron Man number 5, and then a new number 1 from Ignition Press called Showdown number 1. Those are my pulls for the week. So a small week, which is nice. But Gare, what are you pulling this week?
That Tim Drake variant of Absolute Batman is beautiful. I'm probably going to get cover A. But you know me, when I get there, if they have some variants, I'll probably grab one. I'm getting Absolute Batman number 20. I'm getting Barbara Gordon Breakout number 1 because it is a direct continuation of Batman number whatever it was that came out last week. That was so good.
Number 9. I haven't read that one yet either.
Yes.
It's on my stack somewhere.
I won't spoil anything. But I actually already ordered the David Nakayama variant off of TikTok, like right before we started recording this, so I've guaranteed that, and I'm hoping to get cover A this week. I'm also getting Supergirl number 13, and then in Marvel, Uncanny X-Men number 28, Wolverine number 20, Black Cat number 10, Magic and Colossus number 4, which is almost done, and that is it for Marvel. And then I think that's actually it for me for the week. I don't think there's anything indie-wise that I'm picking up, nothing that I've pulled. I've really got to like hunker down and look at like all of the upcoming books and like tell my shop, hey, solicitations, and tell my shop to please order these for me, because they don't get indies there because it's such a small, tiny little baby shop in the middle of nowhere, Alabama. And so if I don't request them, they don't happen. So Skinbreaker and Exquisite Corpses are the only 2 indies coming to that shop, really. Other than She Spawn came. They knew.
Escape comes out at the end of the month. I'm super stoked. I didn't know that was coming back so fast.
Ooh.
That's nice. Yeah.
Wait. Am I oh, it just went on hiatus. It didn't end, right?
No, it just went on hiatus. Yeah.
Okay.
A couple month hiatus.
I've really got to get caught up with Escape.
Also, by the way, I just looked I looked this up, Garrett. This is like a almost 300-page graphic novel.
Okay. All right. Is it a full story?
Like, 3 issues are like 40-something pages.
Period.
Yeah.
Period. Well,
but yes, it is the complete story. So I need to start reading it sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I was about to say, I guess that means I'm starting this tonight. It is Monday, and we record again next Monday. So we have 1 week from today to get it done. I think we can do it. We can do it, right? I hope it's good.
We can definitely do it. Garrett, listen, we read an crazy amount of X-Men. We can definitely read this in 7 days.
I don't know what other podcast you're on, but we definitely excuse me. I don't know what other podcast you're on, but we definitely did not read X-Men on this podcast. We took a month off. We took a whole month off the month of March, but we have not read X-Men on here yet.
You mean our second month of our podcast? It just doesn't exist.
Me blocking the omnibuses of Extreme X-Men behind me with a Stanley Cup.
Really quick before I got on, I pulled this, and it's really, really cute.
I love a Kangaskhan. That is beautiful. You've gotten some good pulls this week.
Yeah, and then I'm not going to pull anything else. I'm just going to buy the rest of my stuff. But they had cards at Target today, and so I bought a couple packs because I don't ever get to open packs because they're ridiculously overpriced.
They are ridiculously overpriced. I've been very brave and strong and not bought anything, even though I'm having so much FOMO from knowing all of the Pokemon stuff that you and Mitch and Chris are doing. But I'm really proud of myself. I stayed at home all weekend. I only went to Walmart once to get groceries. Oh no, a Mother's Day stuff, plants, and I did not even go over there. So I was like, okay, Garen, this is a win today.
That's a win. That's a win.
So, are you ready to dive into Radiant Black?
I am ready to dive into Radiant Black.
Sorry, I had to get Stanley. I did like vocal warm-ups before we started recording, and I can already like feel like phlegm because I've been so sick for the past like 4 or 5 days. And yeah. So bear with me, y'all. If I get a little stuffy, it's because I'm fighting an illness and it's not hantavirus yet, okay? We'll see. We'll see. Radiant Black by Kyle Higgins. Hold on, let me. Okay, so today we are talking about the first 6 issues of Radiant Black. Girl, this book, there's a lot happening in this book. This book had been pitched as Invincible meets, what was the other thing that you said when we talked about it initially?
Power Rangers? I don't know.
Yes, that's what it was. Invincible meets Power Rangers. And I am like not the biggest Invincible fan. So I was kind of nervous about that. I like it. I like it just fine. This book surprised me in a lot of ways. We start out meeting our main character, Nathan Burnett, in the most like humiliating way possible. He is, let me describe him. He is basically the starter sim that you start with when you start playing The Sims. He's just a skinny white guy with brown hair, no defining features. And he is in a car and he's like on the phone with a bank begging for a loan because he has $40,000 in credit card debt. That was a very, very big number to see beside credit card. On the bank screen.
You're not wrong. It was a big number, but I think I even posted this on TikTok, and I was like, I've never felt more I've never related more to a comic panel in my life than to that one. And it's not nearly that much, but still though, when you're just like you have like a little bit, you're like, I'm under, like I have a problem, but I don't have as big of a problem as Nathan does, because that's crazy. That's a crazy number.
The anxiety that I felt just seeing it, I was like, no. What is happening?
Well, like even like so the number is big in itself, but like even when you add the interest on top of that at like 30%, that's like at least $1,000 a month in interest, right? Like,
yeah, that's debt that you're never getting out of, like if you don't win the lottery.
That's generational debt, not generational wealth.
Hashtag generational debt, baby, period. So he's on the phone with this bank begging for a loan, and he's trying so hard to sound like he has his life together. He's telling the loan officer that he's even on a way to a meeting with his literary agent because he's about to sell his first novel. He's basically doing like LinkedIn role play over the phone, and the bank is just not having it. Understandable. They're like, your debt to income ratio is quite ... high. And they were being very nice to him. So yeah, the bank is like, unfortunately, no. Heart emoji. And Nathan just fully breaks down crying in the car, calling himself stupid, all of these things. And suddenly a random guy knocks on the window and he's like, hey, it's okay. We can get another driver. And Nathan's like, no, it's okay. Because surprise, he is not driving to a meeting with his agent. He actually is working for this universe's version of Uber. It's called Driver. Complete like millennial nightmare situation. There was a lot of like relatability to Nathan instantly. You care about him kind of instantly, especially when he's breaking down in the car and you find out he's an Uber driver. The generations before us always talk about like how easy everything was and how like much they bought their houses for, and like we're all out here praying all the time.
Working like working like 3 jobs just to be able to just like survive.
Literally.
Let alone buy a house, like just buy groceries and pay your bills, man. It's rough.
It is rough. It is a very specific millennial humiliation, and unfortunately, I think it's going to continue on into Gen Z, and it already has for some Gen Z. The feeling that your dream is like actively ruining your life, but you can't let it go. I feel like that's a lot of people. So he's very relatable. He's a very relatable main character already. A week later, we see Nathan move back in with his parents. His mom, of course, is thrilled. His dad is supportive in that like very Midwestern dad kind of way where support kind of sounded like He's like saying all the right things, but you can tell that there's like something underlying. It kind of sounds like a performance review that you would get from like your HR manager, you know? Even in those first panels for me, I was like, "Oh, his dad is not at all who he's like saying."
Yeah. Yeah.
And then during this meeting, we meet his best friend, Marshall, which I'm assuming they were best friends in high school and Marshall stayed in the hometown. They never really said where they knew each other from, if it was high school, if it was college, but I'm assuming it was high school, right?
I'd agree with that. I would agree with that. Or maybe like longtime best friends, not even just high school, but like lifelong friends.
Yeah, maybe like they grew up in the same
Together.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And Marshall kind of gives, what is his name? Judd Nelson from The Breakfast Club. He kind of gives that vibe to me, like former high school delinquents kind of. He's kind of cute to me. I like the haircut and just the dark and shady energy. You know, he has a funny dark shady energy about him.
Valid. Not my type though. But go ahead.
Period. To me though, I was like immediately he's more fun than Nathan already. Nathan is cries in cars and Marshall is let's go to the bar. And so that's exactly what he does. What?
Nathan's whole life is falling apart and you're just like he's way more fun than Nathan.
Like I feel like people of a certain age are all kind of in Nathan's situation in some kind of way. And yet we still party on. We still have a giggle.
You know what? You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I do be crying in cars though. I don't know about you, but I do have a little cry steering wheel moment.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So yeah, they go out drinking once Nathan is settled. They go out to the bar, and this is where Nathan admits to Marshall that he is catastrophically broke. And Marshall is basically like, "Damn, that sucks, but we'll get you through it." He's actually really supportive and kind of lovely. And I immediately clock it as like this guy who weirdly is going to be a good influence on Nathan. I was glad to see that he had someone immediately. And so they continue drinking and Marshall gets absolutely obliterated drunk, like ass up, tits out on a Tuesday kind of drunk. Like he is struggling to walk out of the bar and Nathan's helping him. And while they're walking to the car, they see this like floating black orb hovering over some train tracks next to them. And they're like, let's go walk on the train tracks and see what this orb is. And honestly, like safety problems, but I don't blame them. I think that I would probably do the exact same thing.
I mean, safety concerns kind of go out the window when you're kind of drunk on a Tuesday. You just
that is
forget
true.
About safety concerns.
Also a very specific millennial thing to be drunk like that on a Tuesday. You're in a very specific situation.
Listen, as a millennial, I can probably say we've all been fucking drunk on a Tuesday, managed to throw up all night, get up the next morning and go to work.
And that is corporate America, baby. That is corporate America.
Maybe get some McDonald's on the way to work with Diet Coke to start off that hangover. But
yeah, you need the grease from that hash brown to survive.
Oh, yeah.
So, again, Marshall is drunk. They see a weird floating orb over the train tracks, and they walk over to it. Marshall is like, that looks like a little black hole. And Nathan's like, I'm going to touch it. And so he does. Big mistake. Then we get this absolutely sick transformation sequence where Nathan morphs into this black Power Ranger looking thing.
It was giving Sailor Moon energy.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. It was very much magical girl transformation.
That's Sailor Moon energy. For anyone who doesn't know, Sailor Moon is an awesome anime. You should watch it. It's not just for girls.
It is so good. And that is a hill that we will die on. Sailor Moon is so freaking good. So freaking good. So yeah, Nathan has his Sailor Moon transformation into this very cool black looking Power Ranger, and both of them start freaking out. Nathan instantly starts vomiting and it pours out through the mask, which I feel like sets the tone for this type of superhero story immediately, that we instantly get him being like, oh, I'm sick, and just throwing up through the mask. The way it's drawn is too graphic for me, but I did enjoy it, and I did giggle a good bit. The tone is so interesting here because like it's like so funny but so sad, and immediately we're like, your body and your life are no longer fully yours. Like there's something now that's a part of you, and you don't really have control over it. Like he grabbed that thing, didn't choose to morph, it just immediately became a superhero. Then the cops show up because, again, there are two drunk idiots standing on the train tracks at 2 a.m. And Marshall, who is Marshall, starts arguing with the cops while a train is actively coming towards him. They're like, y'all get off, get off, get off of the tracks. And Marshall's like, no, get back in your car, girl. Get back in your car. And so the train is coming, and Nathan jumps into action and uses some like telekinesis type stuff to lift the train off the tracks and get him and Marshall off of the tracks. And also, while he's doing all that, he's also lifting the cops off the ground.
Oh, he's using gravity.
It's gravity?
Mm-hmm.
Period. Nathan is still using his gravity powers to hold the train and the cops up, and Marshall and him are back on the ground. The cops are screaming at him to put them down while Marshall is like, wait a minute, can you fly? And the next thing we see is Nathan flying into the sky with Marshall on his hip. And it's just, I don't know what it is about that panel specifically, but it brought me so much joy seeing how happy they are to be flying away. Well, Marshall specifically, because Nathan's face is completely covered up, but just joyful for me. And so they fly away and they land on top of this old silo where they start processing what's just happened. And Nathan immediately spirals because that's what Nathan does. Marshall is trying to be really supportive and being like, I'm going to help you figure all of this out. And Nathan just starts screaming about how they almost died because Marshall mouthed off to the cops. And I thought this was a moment that was really interesting because up until Marshall says he was going to help him, Nathan seems all right. Like, he's freaking out, but he seems fine. And then hearing the words help him, from what I took from it, it seemed like that triggered him and made him really angry. And he even says, like, I did not ask for help. Like, it plays so much into this like failure of his. And I thought it was a really interesting choice to have him be triggered and react in such an angry way in that moment.
No, I totally agree. And I think I'm gonna piggyback off that a little bit. I agree with what you said, but I also think something about it makes it seem like when Marshall tries to help, he tends to make things worse instead of actually helping. And so not only is that failure kind of feeling in Nathan, but I think it's also a part of the fact that like when Marshall's tried to help in the past, it seems to have blown up in his face.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. I agree with that. And it's also like Nathan probably feels like I'm already at rock bottom. I don't need you to drag me down any further under the the pretense that you're trying to help me. Nathan immediately does kind of feel bad and starts explaining to him that, you know, like the agent wanted the book 4 years ago. It wasn't a recent thing, and he's just been in LA just meandering for 4 years, racking up all this debt, and it took him that long to be like, I need to go home, I need to get help. And he also is now a superhero, and he's terrified that this is just another thing that he's gonna screw up. And he says that, and Marshall just tells him, I won't let you, which kind of hurts. Like, post reading it kind of hurts to read that. This issue ends by cutting to Chicago, where we see another Radiant user, Radiant Red, this big, thick, muscly red man robbing a bank at what seems to be super speed. Very, very cool character introduction. How did you feel about issue number 1? I know that I always have big opinions about issue number 1s, but what did you think about it?
I liked it enough to keep reading it. There was enough intrigue for me as a reader to get invested kind of in like Nathan's story. And I think it's much like you said, and I didn't realize it while I was reading it, is that I can kind of relate to Nathan because he seems more like a millennial than anything else. And actually, when I went to go look to see how old Kyle Higgins was, he was born in 1985, so he's like right around that age too. So I was like, oh, okay, this makes a little bit more sense now.
We have a peak millennial writing a millennial superhero story. 85.
What were your thoughts?
I agree. I think it was a really solid first issue. Love that like his problems are like real people problems, that, you know, like his big origin is not like my mom is dead, or like my dad has been murdered in front of me, or like something like that, you know, like so many origin stories are. I love that it's just a man having to come to terms with the fact that he has fucked up over and over and over again, and he has to go home and reset, start it over. I think I can't relate to that specifically, but so many people that I know have done that, and I just thought it was a very fascinating way to start a superhero story. And the fact that Nathan is such an emotional wreck makes him that much more endearing to me. It made me care about him. I feel like I'm a very empathetic person, and so I was just like, I will cry with you in this driver car, in this Uber car. Like that's how I felt. While it's funny, I was just like, okay, I'm locked in. I get it. I feel bad for the dude.
Do you think that the Radiant chose him, or do you think he just stumbled upon it? Like, do you think it's like a Green Lantern kind of like a vibe, where like like he was chosen to get the ring, or do you think he was just kind of like in the right place at the right time?
That is a complicated question. Yes to both. I think
Yes, to both.
that I think that the Radiant chose to be there that night for sure, but I also think that Nathan was in the right place at the right time. And, I think that he was in the right mind as well for it. Which I think I'm going to come back to this question later on in the episode because I have
Okay.
I have many theories about some of the stuff that we have read this week, and that touches upon one of them.
Okay.
What do you think?
Honestly, I'm not sure. Like, because of what happens later, I wonder if the wrong person grabbed the Radiant. Like, it was there, right? But I think maybe
Yep.
potentially the wrong person grabbed it.
That is exactly what I think.
So, yeah, that's kind of what I think is I think that you're right. I think that the Radiant chose to be there where it needed to be, but the wrong person chose it.
Yeah, this is such a fascinating conversation because, like, again, I haven't read very far past, and nothing that I've read even like alludes to any of this. This is just from reading the issues again today. I think that think that Nathan is a variable that the Radiant didn't consider. That's what I think. I think that it would have always been there in that spot probably, but Nathan came home, and I think that yeah. I don't know. We'll get into it a little bit more.
Okay.
Issue two opens with Nathan coming home at 4 a.m. and his dad is in the kitchen making oatmeal because he is in like an elderly person's running club that gets up at 4 a.m.
No. Who the fuck gets up at 4 a.m.? My mother does, I guess, but I digress. That's fucking like chaos hours. No. You're supposed to be asleep at 4 a.m. or still
Yes,
awake. I don't care. But you don't wake up at 4 a.m.
Waking up at 4 a.m. is reserved for like a 4 a.m. pee that you barely remember. Like it is not time for oatmeal, sir.
It's not time for a walk. It's not time for a workout. It is time to be asleep.
What do you mean you're like putting on your Umbro tracksuit and going outside? Like, no. That I was just like, ew. When I read that, I just went, ew, and moved on. I was like, I knew I don't fuck with his dad. He gets on my nerves. I like his dad. I like his dad.
Especially 4 a.m. in the morning in Chicago. I don't care what time of year it is. You know that bitch is cold at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly. I'm just baffled. I don't know. People of Illinois, if you're here, how cold is it at 4? So again, he runs into his dad who's getting ready to go for a run with his fellow old people. And his dad, they have this like really, really tense conversation that I felt brewing from the beginning that I knew was going to happen, where his dad is like, "What are you doing for money?" And he's like, "That's what writing is for." And his dad is like, "Girl, you're not selling any of your words." And he essentially offers him an ultimatum after Nathan gets really triggered and gets really bitchy with him. He's like, you can stay here, but only as long as you are working. You have to have a job to stay here for free with us.
Yeah. Typical parent moment.
Yeah. Rough times. When you gonna hit Reed with that?
What do you mean? I've already hit him with that at 1.5. What do you mean?
Bring those
He's
coins
a grown-ass
in.
adult already. What do you mean? No, but it's one of those things that, you could feel that was coming and but like it comes from like a place of love, I think. It's more of like, hey, there isn't a free ride here, right? Like you still have to be doing something to better yourself. So like I can understand it, but I don't think the message was delivered in like a loving way. It was like more of like a harsh reality way, which Nathan already has a lot of experience in harsh reality. I think a little bit of love can go a long way. So yeah, his dad is currently on my shit list. But
yeah, it was definitely a cockfight between them, like two pissed off roosters just pecking at each other. It wasn't healthy, and I think that's also really relatable. Like if you're in a tense situation, we've talked about it many times on this pod. Sometimes with family, you're just a bitch, and they were bitches to each other.
Yeah.
After this conversation, Nathan ends up going to bed, and he ends up having this like weird floating like sleep paralysis type thing because his newfound powers are already messing with him physiologically. He wakes up to a knock on the door and he opens it to find Marshall and the cops from the night before. They had shown up at Marshall's house earlier before Nathan woke up. And the cops basically are like, "Hey, so there's a red version of you that's robbing banks. What is that about? Are you connected to them?" And he's like, "I don't work with anyone." And they're like, oh, "Okay, cool. Do you want to help us and like work for us and like help the community?" And he's like, "Again, I don't work for anyone, but I'll think about it." And the cops are like, "You better think about it." And then they walk away. That like the way they drew them looking back, they're like, I don't even know what the exact dialogue was, but I was like, why aren't they being so sassy? And also, we really don't see much of them ever again. You know, I thought that was going to be a
Yeah.
big storyline where he was like working with the cops, and alas, no. So
I mean,
yeah,
it could be that they just kind of disappeared because he started doing good guy stuff.
yeah,
Potentially.
that's true. He did a couple of good things later. Nathan, so yeah, Nathan has said no, but the knowledge that there's another Radiant in Chicago has him being like, I need to figure this out. So he's like, I'm gonna go Uber in the city, and he starts interrogating every passenger about this Radiant Red and like what they know, and mostly to failure. There's like most people don't know, but there is one person that's like, well, I saw some red streaks coming from a junkyard, very casual. And he's like, where is that junkyard at? And so he goes to the junkyard, and lo and behold, Radiant Red is there casually lifting a car engine over his head. Nathan tries to roll up in a very awkward way. He just appears and is like, "Hey, so I have these powers too. Also, it was so easy to find you. The cops are going to find you soon," which pisses off Radiant Red. And he immediately punches Nathan into the sky. And they begin to have a little fight, which is actually a really funny fight because Nathan is getting his ass kicked. He doesn't have any clue what he's doing. And the whole time he's trying to like discuss their lore while they're fighting. He's like, "Hey, no, I have these powers too." Like while he's getting beat up.
He was giving like Peter Parker vibes throughout this whole fight.
Agreed. I agree with that. It's like one of the few times in this book where Nathan is like funny. So I really enjoyed that. Radiant Red eventually has enough of Nathan's bullshit and just steals his car and then drives it away. Nathan rushes after and Red drives it off of a bridge. Nathan manages to save it using his gravity powers and discovers that there's stolen bank money inside. 2 bags of bank money, and Radiant Red has escaped. And so he's like, yeah, okay, this guy's actually robbing banks. But what I love about Nathan is that even though he is struggling so bad, $40,000 in credit card debt, just in case you forgot, everybody, generational debt, he immediately takes it back to the bank and drops it off. And I thought that was really sweet. He's depressed. He's very self-loathing, but he is still going to do the right thing. And that's another thing that I feel like adds to the theory that, you know, anyway, I'm so excited to talk about this with you that it's ridiculous. Nathan gets home. It's 2 a.m. And we have this really beautiful little quiet moment where Nathan talks to his dad and asks for just a couple of days a week to work on his writing because he's like, I have to actually do real work. Like I have to do the work and I need a couple of days. And his dad's like, okay, that sounds great. I thought you were dead because you were out so late again. And you can tell that they both regret the night before's conversation. And it was just really a sweet little beautiful moment. And Nathan's just like, I just want to finish something. And I think that that's something that I relate to because like and maybe you relate to it too in a way because we both do come from like working in corporate backgrounds that it's like what mark do you leave on the world when you are working for a big corporation like Uber or all these things. And I think it's a very admirable thing to be like, I just want to finish something because it like again very relatable.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. As someone who has worked in corporate America, like you're a cog in a wheel, really. Easily replaceable. As much as you don't think you are, if you're easily replaceable, they can find somebody to do your job for you. So, like, you're not really leaving a mark, like you said, whereas, like, Nathan in this instance is trying to write a book where he can leave some sort of lasting reminder that he existed in this world and finish something. So, Yeah.
And issue 3 is just that. We get to see Nathan start working on his novel. We actually get excerpts from it. They put in 2 actual pages of prose. And just to tell you really briefly what it's about a couple that rob banks together, and on their most recent heist, the male gets shot and dies, and suddenly the woman has 2 duffel bags full of money and the open road ahead of her. And she doesn't know what's next for her, and neither does Nathan. And that's what his original short story was, that he's trying to turn into a novel. And so over the course of this issue, we get to see the process, which I thought was a really, really, really cool thing that we got to see, like, inside the writer's mind for a little bit.
Like how they wrote writer's block. Like they made it seem real, like
Mhm.
something that you can relate to. And again, from my own personal experience, when I used to write college essays, I would get stuck. And like you would just be stuck for hours, days, like trying to figure out what you're trying to say. And I just felt this was very relatable, especially like when he's like, I'm taking a break, and he goes and watches YouTube or whatever, and then he has like an alarm set, and it's like, you need to start working, and then you sit back down and you still can't get anything out because you don't know, you can't figure out what you're trying to say. Anyway, I just thought it was a really well done couple of pages together just to kind of show what writer's block truly is.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. I've definitely experienced it myself. Of course, not when I was writing fan fiction that I definitely still don't write, but I have had many writer's blocks as well, and it was really, really well
Eventually,
done.
he will drop the username, y'all. Eventually.
Archiveofourown.com. Happy hunting. .org. Excuse me. So yeah, as Nathan's working on his novel, we start to see like little flashes of like this strange alien language. And then he starts to like subconsciously insult himself in this weird language. Like it's like his new powers are infecting his internal monologue, which I thought was really, really cool. And you can tell like when that's happening because there's like a radiant like bubble around each speech bubble. And again, just a really cool concept. Meanwhile, Marshall is down at the video store doodling superhero logos and trying to come up with names. Sorry, what were you about to say?
You're fine. I didn't notice that. Oh. I was like, why is he talking shit to himself?
You're like, he's being really mean and also saying strange things that I don't understand.
I was like, why is he saying to throw out his paper? I was like, I was very confused. Now this all makes sense. Okay.
It's like I'm glad you said that though, because it's kind of like the Radiant is trying to bring out the worst in him. Like he's self-loathing, but I don't know if his thoughts are that self-loathing. Some of those like lines to himself read very much not Nathan. Even though we have only known him for 3 issues, there's a stark difference in the way he's thinking to himself.
Agreed.
So after hours of writing and nothing happening, Nathan needs to take a break, and so he heads down to Marshall's video store where Marshall is doodling superhero logos and trying to come up with the names of one of them even being Mighty Morphin Lawsuit on there, which I thought was very funny. I love the Power Rangers. Nathan says maybe something with radiant, because during all of the thinking, he thought the word radiant out of nowhere and was like, wait, what? And so he offers that, and they land on Radiant Black. Not Black Radiant, because this is not 1960s Marvel. That's a direct quote from the book.
What do you mean? Like the Red Ghost and his super apes? That's a Fantastic Four villain.
The Red Ghost?
His name is the Red Ghost, and he has super apes.
They loved a color. They really loved a color back then.
I mean, you had to differentiate, right?
You absolutely did. So yes, Radiant Black, they land on Radiant Black. Marshall's basically treating this like they're starting a band, and Nathan is kind of treating it at this point like a terminal diagnosis. He's not very excited about it at all. He's not very forthcoming with any of it. He's just kind of he's done his a couple of little things here and there, but not much. So Marshall does make a Twitter and says, "Hey, I'm the guy that took the money back to the banks." Nathan freaks out about it, as he does. He's just kind of freaking out all the time. Nathan that night starts to have like horrific dreams where an older version of himself in the Radiant suit appears and tells him, I am what you will never be, Nathan. Worth breathing. That scene felt very out of nowhere.
I also didn't know that was older Nathan. I just thought it was a random guy.
It could just be a random guy. This is okay. This is the problem with making your lead a skinny white guy with brown hair. They all look exactly the same. And so if you give a skinny white guy with brown hair a beard and then have him interact with our main skinny white guy, I'm going to immediately assume that is the older version. He kind of looks like evil Reed Richards a little bit in that picture.
He does.
Actually.
He does kind of. No, but now that you say that, it makes sense. Like I can see it, right? But like I was just like, who is this random guy? Like, what's happening? No, that makes sense.
So the Radiant is like, again, we've said this, like the Radiant is like, what is the word that I'm trying to find? Enhancing his feelings and making them bigger, like his self-loathing feelings. And so now it's like affecting his dreams. So we're getting a lot of insight into like what his fears are, and just like the future self of you that will never be coming to attack you in your dreams being like, you're worthless bitch, is horrific. And now you're a superhero. The self-hatred in this comic is brutal in these first few issues. And then we get this whole like great contrast the next day where Nathan spends the whole day failing to write but succeeds as Radiant Black by like helping random people. He gets a tweet at one point while he's like struggling to write, being like, hey, we have a flat tire. So he flies out to help them change their tire. They're on the freeway. He does not know how to change a tire. So eventually he just literally picks the car up with them inside and flies them where they need to go. I think they're like going tailgating for like a type of ball game.
Oh, they were going to a basketball game.
Okay, period. It was a very sweet and very funny scene. Again, I'm really loving the comedy in this. I'm loving all of the like superhero tropes where they kind of are flipping them on their heads. Then we hit issue 4 and this book suddenly becomes like a cosmic horror. Like from like the first page, we see Nathan naked in this like weird plane of existence. It's kind of like an alien dimension where a giant robot version of like himself is there. It looks like, I'm assuming they have the same face. It's like a radiant robot. Yes. And he's like, hello, Nathan, welcome to existence. So throughout this whole issue, we go back and forth with Nathan on this plane of existence and then what's happening in real life. So it's like you'll get a page of this, a page of that, and it goes back and forth a lot. So after the robot says that, we cut to Marshall laying on his couch and he gets a text from Nathan asking if he has plans for the day. Marshall is like, well, I kind of want to go see this movie. I want to have a movie marathon. And Nathan tells him that he'd finally like to practice his powers. Marshall's like, bet, but let's have a movie night after. They go out into the middle of this like snowy forest and they start trying out some aiming practice on these like old action figures. Nathan manages to shoot like a little blast from his hand, but it's like a measly, skinny little blast. It's still a blast though. Like it messes up the action figure. They're excited about it. But Marshall's like, I bet you can make it bigger. You just need to like get mad or like feel something. And you can use them like more efficiently. And Nathan's kind of like rolling his eyes about it. So Marshall starts throwing insults at him to try to piss him off. He like brings up his work. He brings up the Oxford comma, tells him that his prose sucks. And then he brings up Nathan's ex-girlfriend, Justine, and says that she would still be around if you knew how to conjugate. And this really triggers Nathan. And he does a big blast and says, you motherfucker. Fucker is not in actual English. It's in the alien language that Nathan's been seeing in his like subconscious and in the dreams and stuff like that. So they celebrate. They make a joke about him speaking in a weird language, and then they head off to the bar to grab a couple of beers before go and get some groceries for their movie night. Back on the alien plane, the robot and Nathan are talking. It says that their digital brain, organic brain integration is almost complete. The robot tells him that their connection is going to be permanent. It's going to be final. It also very casually is like, war is coming, girl, for the Radiant. And I'm going to say a direct quote here. He, quote, in quote, like I'm putting it in quotations because we don't know who he is, guys. From here on out, anytime I'm like, he, that's what that means. He will kill you and your entire planet. To die is to lose everything. Will you do all that is required to save your species? Will you take his life? And we just kind of see Nathan react to that. So back on Earth, Nathan and Marshall have picked up some groceries before their movie night, and they're walking down the street talking about how long it's taken Nathan to be open about learning his powers when Radiant Red appears and attacks them. Nathan suits up and Marshall starts filming them, makes a joke about filming them. Radiant Red takes his phone and absorbs it into his body, because Radiant Red's powers is very similar to Bishop's in the X-Men. He can absorb energy and then use it to do, I don't know, other things. He can run really fast with it. He can do some punches. Like, he's just basically just absorbing energy and then pushing it back out in other ways. And he tells Marshall to run or he will absorb him too. Which freaked me the fuck out, because I was like, what do you mean by that? Can you like absorb a whole human into your body, like flesh and bone and all? I don't want to like.
From the later couple of issues, it seems like that could be a theory, yes, that they could absorb human beings.
Okay. That's what I thought was happening. And I was like, how far, like, if he isn't stopped, how far can he go? Don't love that. So Nathan then grabs Red while Red is talking to Marshall and like zips them around with his gravity powers, like bouncing them off of walls, and then they start having a battle. They end up crashing through this roof of a 3-story building and go all the way down through to the ground floor. This is where Radiant Red calls Nathan by his first name and says that he knows who he is and where he lives, and threatens that if Nathan ever rolls up on him again, threatening him with the police, that he will hurt him publicly, privately, and personally, which is a very scary thing. And also the way it made me think, I'm gonna pause the recap for just a second and say this to you, because it made me think about if superheroes were real right now in our world, how easy would it be able to find out who they are? With all of the tools that we have now, with AI facial recognition, with online footprints, like, would there be such a thing as a superhero with a secret identity? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think people are prone to mistakes, so I think even if they were the most secretive person in the planet, and say you had no social media presence at all, period, ever, I still think you're right. I still think it would be hard to completely keep your identity a secret. There's a cat. Just because of, you're right, all of the AI facial recognition, how social media is, videos would be, there'd be millions of videos of you trying to maybe either enter your house, leave your house.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they could also be like Batman and have a Batcave. So it's kind of hard to say. Maybe they would want to be out in the open, like Tony Stark, maybe.
Yeah.
But no, I think it would be very difficult to have a superhero identity without being known. I don't think it's possible, but maybe it is. Just like, I don't know. It's a good question. I really wish I had like a better answer for you, but I think it would be terribly difficult.
It's just an interesting thought that I had while reading this, because it freaked me out, like, how much Radiant Red knew about Nathan. Like, because I was like trying to rack my brain, being like, how could they have done this? Like, how did they? They followed the car. That's how they did it. But it's just like, had they not followed the car, it still wouldn't have been hard if there was a moment on a CCTV somewhere where Radiant Black's mask came off and Nathan's face was on there for a split second. That could be immediately cross-referenced with thousands of other videos and photos that are online of us that we don't know about. It's just something to think about. Sometimes I spiral and I'm like, you know what? The world is terrifying.
You're not wrong, though.
So Nathan reacts to this very, very personal threat by unleashing a huge blast of power on Red, cracking Red's mask, and he tells Red not to ever come back there ever again. But they keep fighting, hurling blasts at each other so much that the building starts to crumble around them. They have destroyed the foundation of this building. Nathan immediately drops the fight and starts using his powers to keep the building standing so that anyone inside can evacuate. There aren't that many people left in the building. Most of them have gotten out already. But he does get them out. And then suddenly his power isn't strong enough to hold up the building anymore, and it crashes down on top of him. Marshall rushes to the rubble and starts moving the rocks and finds a crumpled Nathan, who looks pretty worse for wear. He's screaming, "Don't do this, man. Come back. You have to stay alive." We briefly flash back to Nathan telling the robot that he couldn't take someone's life, and the robot tells him that he and his species will die. We cut back to Marshall screaming that Nathan isn't breathing and begging for him to wake up when the black hole orb comes out of Nathan's body and presents itself to Marshall. The issue ends with the robot giving Marshall the same question. Will he do what it takes? Will he take his life, the other his? And Marshall says yes. and grabs the black orb. And that is the end of issue 4. So I want to flash back to whatever day it was this week when you read this and you texted me.
Yeah.
You were like, is this really happening? Is he dying? Is he dead? And I was like, I cannot talk about this because I still don't know. Spoiler, we don't really get confirmation on a full body death in these issues. But talk about a crazy like third act reveal for this arc to kill off your main character that you've spent 4 issues building this like huge emotional tower to like tether him to your audience and then kill him. You know what it reminded me of?
What?
It reminded me of the Buffy theme song coming on and Amber Benson's name finally getting to be in the main credits, Tara, and then she gets shot at the end of the episode and dies. I literally gasped when that orb came out of his body. I was like, no fucking way am I getting Whedoned again. In real time while I'm bald. Like, that's how I felt. I was like, I'm too old for this shit.
Oh, that's funny. Spoiler alert, everyone. Nathan wasn't actually the main character. Kyle Higgins just made you think he was. It's really Marshall. I actually don't know that for a fact. I'm just saying words, but I could see that actually. But they did say that he wasn't dead. He was like in a coma. That's the next episode. RIP or whatever.
I mean, I'm only going to be fair, I was only going to bring it up really briefly. He has no brain activity. They're keeping him alive, but he has no brain activity. Again, I was only going to talk about that for one sentence, so it's not really a spoiler. But yeah, I think you're right, though. I think that Kyle Higgins tricked us and made us love Marshall too for being silly, goofy boy, and now he has to take on the mantle. The true origin story of this arc is his origin story. It's his best friend that's dying, and he takes the powers.
Ooh.
I think we can talk about your question from earlier now, because you were like, do you think it chose Nathan? I don't. I think that Nathan was in the right place at the right time. Like, I think that he was quicker. He wasn't as drunk as Marshall. He was quicker to grab the orb. I think that from the beginning, the orb was meant for Marshall. And one thing that I think about this is on the page where we see Nathan basically say he cannot take a life to the robot. I think it's the very next page when the foundation crumbles around him. He's using his gravity powers, and there's a part of the panel where you see the power stop working in one specific part to break it, and I think that's the Radiant killing him.
Now I'm looking. Hold on.
Like, that's my theory. I think the Radiant was like, you grabbed it, you can do this, and then he's like, I can't do this, and the Radiant's like, well, now you're gonna die. And straight up on that page, there's like a little part where you see a part of the foundation crack.
Oh yeah, you do.
And so I think I kind of think the Radiant was like, well, now we got to get our other guy, and this is how we're going to do it. By killing you.
Our other guy.
We gave you your chance, because how fast Marshall was to say yes. The Radiant knew who to go to.
Yeah. I don't think Nathan was cut out to take a life. Whereas Marshall seems like he might be like that.
I saw him in the Breakfast Club. He has a switchblade, and he would kill someone. Like, I believe that. Issue 5 starts with paramedics doing CPR on Nathan, and he takes a shallow breath. Marshall is like, oh my god, he's alive, he's breathing. And they're like, well, it's a shallow breath, and he has a very weak pulse. His heart had been stopped for 6 minutes, so we don't know if there's any brain activity. They load him into the ambulance and drive away.
Also shocked at how desperate Marshall was that Nathan not be dead. Like, it was like a desperate.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think it just shows maybe how much he loves Nathan, but also how much he might need Nathan in his life to make him a better person. So I think you're right. I think that like you said, the Radiant was meant for Marshall, and I think that Nathan was going to be the counterbalance to Marshall's what is the word I'm looking for? Irrational behavior? Is that?
Yeah.
And now
Impulsive.
his counterbalance is gone. Impulsive, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I feel like Nathan was going to be his Pennyworth. I think that you're onto onto exactly what it is. I think that in a perfect world, he would have been his Pennyworth, and it's just kind of sad because, like, you're right, it does affect Marshall's life because, like, imagine your childhood best friend moves literally across the country and you're alone in your hometown for years working at a video store, and then he comes back and a month later he's dead. Like,
Yeah.
you like finally got him back. You're having movie nights again. You're like doodling superhero names, treating it like you just started a band with your best friend, and that's just so fucking sad. Actually, I didn't think about that aspect of it until you just brought it up. That's so devastating for him.
So,
And so they load him into the ambulance and they drive away. Marshall runs into an alley and suits up, taking flight into the sky for the very first time. Well, he's incredibly emotional right now, you guys, and he also has never flown before, so he very quickly crashes into the old silo where they met back in the first issue, which is also poetic and really sad. He's screaming at the sky, I don't want it. You hear me? I don't want it, referencing his new powers. After this breakdown, we cut to Marshall in the waiting room out in the hospital, watching the internet kind of turn on Radiant Black. He's watching like a YouTube of these guys that are giving escape pod energy, like just screaming about Radiant Black and saying that it's his fault that the building collapsed and now someone's in the hospital, not knowing that Radiant Black himself is actually in the hospital.
right.
Nathan, yeah, it's just sad. And Nathan's parents come out into the waiting room and they're sobbing, and they can barely even talk. And they manage to tell Marshall that the doctors say that they don't see any brain activity and they've got him hooked up to a bunch of tubes. And they're basically confirming to Marshall that Nathan is essentially brain dead. We then cut to Marshall in that other plane with the Radiant robot, who tells them that their sync is completing much faster than it did with Nathan did. And Marshall tells the robot that he will do whatever it wants if it helps him find Radiant Red so he can get revenge for Nathan. This is where we cut to Radiant Red punching the ground, punishing himself for hurting Nathan. And he's like saying things like, you just had to fix it. You just had to do something. Like, he's like talking down to himself. And this is where Marshall finds him. And he's like, it's you. And he like reveals, he takes off the mask and shows that he is not Nathan. And tells Radiant Red that Nathan is now in a coma, that he is now Radiant Black. And they start to fight. Marshall initially has the upper hand. He flies Red up into the sky and is like, you can't absorb anything up here, boo. And Red's like, oh, period? And starts to absorb Marshall's suit off of his body. And this is what Marshall was referencing earlier when we were talking about, can they absorb humans? It's horrific. And I also don't know how that works. How can you absorb a radiant power?
So that's what I was about to say. So I'm looking at the page actually right now, and I'm wondering if Radiant Red's actually absorbing the Radiant Black power up rather than Marshall himself. But I don't know. I can't really tell. Yeah, so it's either they're absorbing Marshall or they're absorbing Radiant Black. Kyle Higgins, if you hear this podcast, please let us know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Or if anyone else
text us,
has read Radiant Black and you already know the answer to this, please let us know.
Send us a DM. So yeah, Radiant Red starts to like absorb Marshall's suit, and Marshall's like, nah, 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 and does the big old blast and blast him down into this frozen lake. Marshall also has kind of like a power up moment here, and suddenly has a really fabulous cape. I was like,
he's Cape Man.
I was like, okay, girl, fashion in the middle of a fight. It's giving gay energy.
I do like how that Marshall and Nathan's like radiant suit are different. Like you can like add your own little flair to it if you want. Nathan didn't really have any flair, but Marshall has flair.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or maybe it's just to help people realize that it's not Nathan. I don't know, but anyway, it's Kate.
Smart. It's, you know what? It's smart either way. So Marshall's floating above this lake being like, come out, I just put my cape on. And so Radiant Red does come out of this lake, but in a giant robot mech that he has made like himself wearing. It's freaking Hulkbuster energy, and starts pummeling Marshall pretty hard. But because Marshall is so angry right now, he blasts this gigantic blast and dismantles the suit while screaming about how much he loved Nathan and how he won't stop until Red is dead. And Red's helmet comes off. And this is where it is revealed that Radiant Red is not this big, muscly man like we've thought the whole time, but instead a woman.
Listen, I have never been so confused at a reveal in my life. What do you mean you're going to show Radiant Red like this in the first issue, right? Like this is literally what this person looks like. And then all of a sudden, it's a lady, which is fine. I don't care. I was just like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, hello? You have pecs.
And
what is happening?
I'm going to do a little spoiler. It's not really a spoiler, but I will say that past issue 6, when we see Radiant Red from then on out, female body in the suit.
So I wonder if they didn't know that they were going to have a female Radiant Red. So they drew Radiant Red as a man, and then they were like, oh, wait, it's a woman. I don't know.
A little retcon.
Mm-hmm.
I will say issue 6, there's a moment in issue 6 that made me be like, oh, that's why there's it's a man body. But I'll talk about it when I get to it. But I kind of feel like you're right. I kind of feel like they might have decided last minute to change it into a woman, and then they had to retcon it in issue 6. So yeah, big reveal. It is actually a woman. She tells Marshall that she just wanted to scare him, that she didn't mean to. She's interrupted. She's interrupted by someone else saying, hey, sorry for showing up uninvited, you guys. And this is where we meet Radiant Pink and Radiant Yellow for the first time. Radiant Pink portaled them to warn Black and Red that they are in danger. Radiant Pink's powers is teleportation, like with pink portals, very similar to Blink in X-Men. Me on every episode of this podcast being like, this power is very similar to Kitty Pryde. I do it every week. Anytime there's a power, I'm like, there's an X-Men for that.
You're not wrong. It's like, there's probably an X-Men for everything.
It's like that episode of Family Guy where they're putting in subliminal messaging to smoke cigarettes in it, and it's just like randomly some guy will just go smoke in the middle of the episode. That's what I feel like every time I talk about X-Men on this podcast. Just throwing it in where I can. So yeah, we meet Radiant Pink and Radiant Yellow. They tell Marshall and Red that they have been portaling over and over again to escape him. They're always one step ahead. But he is here, and he's going to kill them, and he can counteract everything that they try to do to stop him. During this conversation, suddenly they are attacked. This like big slash appears across the page, and they are on the ground in pain. All 4 of them are like laying on the ground in pain. And this man starts to materialize as this monologue goes. I'm gonna say the whole monologue because I feel like it's some of the best like character writing in the book, like character introduction writing. He says, it hurts. I know. A consequence of playing with fire. You have something that is not yours. You will all lose your lives. Unfortunate, but necessary. You have no choice but one. Will your planet die as well? And he's like, this whole time he's like phasing into existence in front of them in a glitchy kind of way. The same way that the alien plane kind of looks like it's like very techno. He also kind of looks like their radiant suits a little bit, but he has a hood and a cape. What do you think about the introduction of this big bad? And yet we have no name. He is just he.
So I just realized as I'm looking at it, it looks like there's radiant lettering under where it says it hurts. I know a consequence of playing with fire, and it looks like it's radiant lettering. And so like at the back of the book, it has a radiant.
Yeah.
And so like I was trying to figure it out, but I can't figure out even what the first thing is. Honestly, I think that makes him more terrifying though, that we don't know what his name is.
I agree.
I think something about knowing a name makes him a little bit less scary. Like you've seen Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So the episode Midnight where they're on the Diamond Planet and like you don't ever see the big bad. You just hear it, and it's one of my favorite Doctor Who episodes of all time.
Is that Peter Capaldi?
No, it's David Tennant.
Okay, yeah.
They're on the train, and it has Merlin. If you've seen Merlin, I don't know. You've seen Merlin. Maybe not.
The way. What you know about fandom? What you know about Tumblr 2014?
But to be fair, Arthur's hot as fuck, so I get it.
To be loved is to be known. Listen, the way that we've never talked about this, and she was like, she very kindly was like, you seem like you've seen Merlin, and like looked away because she didn't want to call me out. I will say, before we dive into this anymore, being a part of that fandom, and shipping Arthur and Merlin was like fighting in a world war. Okay? If I feel like people who shipped Dean and Castiel on Supernatural, both of our endings were kind of the same. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Continue. Go on.
You know, I never actually finished that show, but
Don't. It's a sweet ending. It's just,
it's a sweet ending. Got it. Everyone dies. There's an episode of Doctor Who called Midnight where basically it's David Tennant and redhead. What is her name? Donna are on a train on this planet called Midnight, and basically there's like this big bad kind of a thing like outside trying to get into the train because the train is stranded, and like you never see it, and it ends up taking over one of the train passengers, and like what it does is it basically takes away your voice, so like it like starts copying the Doctor, and it's like one of the most terrifying episodes of TV I've ever seen without having like a super big terrifying villain. It's more like a psychological kind of a horror than it is anything else, and so I feel like that's kind of why I think not knowing the big bad's name right now is more terrifying than knowing it, because you don't know anything about them. He looks like a techno mage. Techno ninja.
Yeah, he does. He absolutely does look like a techno mage.
So
that's a perfect description of what he looks like, actually. There's something very spooky about like all the techno aspects of this, and I'm not much farther than we are right now in my read. I think I'm on issue 10 or 11.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't really want to talk about it. I don't want to spoil it for you. But know that we get more information soon. Like,
okay.
Within those issues, we get some pretty solid information. Unfortunately for all of you listeners who have not listened to Radiant Black, this is actually the end of our main story for the week. We do have one more issue to go through, but it is a complete backstory issue that does not further our plot any at all.
I was very sad, actually. Like, I love backstory, don't get me wrong, but I was like, excuse me? What do you mean?
Yeah. An absolutely diabolical time to be like, oh, by the way, you guys, here's a little backstory. Like, no, you made those people wait a month before you continued, girl. Okay, so
listen,
issue 6.
It's giving Kyle Higgins is a millennial, and he said, hey, look, I'm gonna give you 24 episodes of TV like I did back in the day, and then oh wait, here's this bottle episode right after this big old cliffhanger. Hold on.
Yeah, here's Tabula Rasa, you guys.
Tabula
TJ
Rasa
played Tabula
is a great
Rasa.
Episode. It's
incredible.
Episode.
It is incredible. That is one of top five episodes of all.
Really good one.
Okay, so backstory issue starts with Radiant Red, at this big family dinner. It's Christmas. Her name is Satomi. They're all talking about like her engagement with her boyfriend. His name is Owen. He's a big, muscular, hunky dude. That's all I can really say to describe this man.
Owen is a red flag name for anyone who didn't know. Okay.
That's real. That's so real. Sorry, Owen, if you're listening. I don't know
any Owens. I apologize. I don't either.
So they're all talking about her engagement with her boyfriend. Her mom makes a comment and she says that she's tired from all the wedding planning and all the grad school applications. She's starting to feel burnt out. All we really gather from this is that like everybody loves her fiance Owen. And right after they leave, they're in the car and she's like, thank you for signing my name to the Christmas cards. They just got away from me. So he's like very much this like character in her family that they all love and they all knew that she was going to marry. So they're driving home. They get home and they find that a man in a suit is waiting on their doorstep. Like, it's really late at night, you guys. Like, I'm assuming it's probably 10, 11 o'clock, right?
It's late at night.
Like,
no, it's late at night.
There ain't no need for this man to be there. That's spooky and scary and a red flag in itself. So Owen sends Satomi inside and he has a conversation with the man, and we can hear through the window that he's asking him for more time. And the man tells him that there is no more time. Owen comes back in the house and Satomi asks, when did you start again? And he says that he didn't. And she's like, then why is there a man from our bank here this late at night? And so he confesses that he has got in on some card games again, and it's only been a few months, but he's racked up a lot of debt. He says not to worry though, because he's about to make a big sale at work. There's a big order coming in, and then they'll be back to normal. And she's like, are you sure? Because I can use my grad school money to get us out of this situation. And he's like, absolutely not, because you're going to get into a great school, and we don't need to touch that account at all. She feels better, and that's it for the night. They go to bed. Well, she doesn't actually feel better. Owen is passed out, fast asleep like a baby. Satomi cannot sleep, so she leaves. She drives over to his office, and it's like a construction site. He like owns a little trailer construction area, and she goes through his stuff and discovers that they are in fact fucked in a major way. She starts to leave. She's upset when a red orb crashes down from the sky right next to her, and she morphs into radiant red. And she actually does have a magical girl transformation here because she is in fact a girl, and hers is, I think, prettier than the other one. I liked this one a lot. They're both great, but I was like, period. I love a morph.
Yeah, no,
She also female body there. Did you clock that? No big muscles, no big muscles. So yeah, she morphs into radiant red, and then the next day we see her outside of a bank, hyping herself to go in. She's like, "You can do this. You've got superpowers." And we think she's about to rob this fucking bank.
She was gonna rob the bank, dude.
I was like, "Oh, this was fast. She did this so fast." And I was a little disappointed by how fast it was. So she goes in. She's not robbing the bank, you guys. She's actually there to have a meeting with the guy that was on their step. He's a big, gross dude. Like, big, muscly, gross dude who looks like his name is Chad. Don't know if it is. No offense to the Chads out there. Full offense to the Chads out there. So she's like, I want to get this resolved. And she's asking, like, what options they have. And he basically tells her that they can't do anything to help due to her fiance's financial history. And she's like, well, what about mine? I have all my grad school money in my other account. And he pulls it up and it's like, oh, this account? It's completely empty. And it shows her signature as draining the account. Her fiance, Owen, that piece of shit, forged her signature and drained her whole account. So she goes home, confronts him about it, and says, you know what he says? Oh my God. Okay, before we dive into this, how mad did this make you reading it?
Listen, Omi is a better person than I am because the way that I would have come home and the person that came home after their work shift and they still were alive after we had a conversation. I'm just saying, if you drained $11,000 to pay back your debts and you still weren't close to paying off it, I would be fucking furious.
Yeah. So she does, like, she's like, why did you do this? She's very upset. And he says, you seemed like you were never going to go to grad school. So I took it, and it still wasn't enough. We have nothing. We are going to lose the house. And then he starts screaming at her for getting involved, telling her that she embarrassed him by going and asking for more money. And then naturally she punches the wall, and she uses her power when she does it, and the wall cracks. She tells him that she can't do this anymore, and she starts to leave. And then he starts crying and begs her not to leave, saying that he's sick and that he needs help and he can't do it without her. And he begs her not to give up on him. The scene ends with them hugging. And listen, you guys, gambling addiction is a real thing. It absolutely is, but so are really toxic, manipulative dynamics, and I don't really know which one is which here. I don't know if he's actually sick or if he just knows what to say to get her to stay, because she immediately folds and hugs him.
So, as somebody who used to be constantly manipulated, I think it's a little bit of both here. I think he is truly sick and that he does have a gambling addiction. I do think that is true. But I also think it's true that he knows what buttons to push to keep Satomi there and how to manipulate her specifically to keep her there. As I was reading this, honestly, it made me feel sick just because, like you said, she was going to leave, and then he ended up saying these certain magical words, and then it ends up with them hugging, and it's just it's gross.
Yeah. It is gross, and it's sad. So, the next page, we see Satomi outside of a bank, suited up, and now projecting a man's body with the suit. She goes in. I think that she did that so no one would ever suspect her of doing it.
I see.
We then see her come back home. Owen is like, what did you do? And she tells him that she handled it, and she has 2 bags overflowing with cash in her hands. This is the end of the book, which I thought it was a crazy choice to end your first arc on a backstory. But also, is it really the end of the first arc, or is it just halfway through the first arc? Like, is the first arc a
Yes.
10-issue event? Is it 1994 again? You know? um, we're so used to arcs being 4 issues long and things getting wrapped up. And so, with this book, as someone who's read a few more issues past, they're cooking in a crazy way. It was
Okay.
just wildly
Okay.
unfortunate that this ended where it did. I was like, oh, shit, when I got there, because I think I read it like a day before you, maybe, and I was like, fuck, Marsha's going to be so mad because I was mad. And that's why I kept going.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Like I said, I wanted to keep going, but A, my backlog was a lot, and B,
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon's taken over my life, y'all, like in a bad way. So that's where I am right now.
I love that you say in a bad way.
Playing lots of Pokemon. Well, it's more of like it's not a bad way because like I'm not spending money on it, right? But like it's more of like I'm thinking about like what decks I can build, what like I want to play it. Like it's just like it's like that. It's not like I'm addicted to opening packs or something like that. It's just I want to play Pokemon. I want to make decks. I want to play. You know, I just want to. I'm really enjoying it so far. So
Do you
yeah.
have that Pokemon app
I
where you
do.
can like rip packs?
Oh no. Oh well, yes, but it's a. You can't pay to buy packs. You have to actually play. So like there's two versions of it. There's Pokemon Pocket, which is the one that you're talking about, where you can like put
Mm-hmm.
your own money in there to buy packs. Or there's Pokemon Live, which is like Pokemon's actual like TCG player, and you get packs in that by either getting code cards from buying packs in real life, or you play it and it gives you like free packs because it has like a battle pass type mechanic. But you can't buy packs in the app.
Okay.
So
That sounds great, actually.
mhm.
Because I have been known to buy a virtual item or two.
Yeah, you can't. You cannot on that one specifically.
We don't talk about my Candy Crush history. I went through a phase, okay?
Hey, listen, we all have the apps and stuff. Luckily, I did not go through a Candy Crush phase, but my mom did, so.
My therapist actually is the reason why I started playing Candy Crush. He was like, this game might calm you down when you have anxiety because you'll have something to focus on. And I was like, okay. 1,500 levels later.
I thought you were going to say $1,400, Gare, and I was like, holy fuck.
Oh, I've never counted up how much money I've spent on it, but I don't play it anymore because I was like, what's 99 cents here? What's 99 cents there? You know?
Yeah.
That shit adds up.
It adds up so fast. Michelle found that out on Whatnot the other day. She was buying them Pokemon cards, and I was like, dude, I'm telling you, it's going to be real bad. And she was like, I spent $60. And I was like, I told you.
Yeah, the joys of Whatnot. It's such a beautiful, beautiful concept. It's an truly evil app. Dennis, I know you're listening. It's an evil app. It's an evil app that I use every now and then, very rarely. But yeah. I meant to say this at the beginning of the issue. Or I meant to say something out. First, what would you say out of 10 this book is for you so far?
I would give it maybe like a good solid 7. It's not super great, but like I like it a lot. So I'm gonna give it a 7 because I think it's like a good area to be.
Yeah, absolutely. 7 was actually my number as well. Just I find it to be there's an emotional depth to this one that was what I was missing in the first arc in Grimm last week. I will say though, I do want to adjust. I meant to do this in housekeeping, but I do want to adjust my score from 6.5 to 7 for Grimm because I've thought about it a lot this week after reading this one and comparing the two, and I'm like, this one had more emotional depth to it. But it wasn't a satisfying arc to be collected in a first volume, whereas Grimm had a solid beginning, middle, and end, and it left you wanting more, but it didn't piss you off, which I think is how volumes should be collected to me. So personally, I was like, you know what? No, I liked Grimm a whole lot more. I liked Grimm a lot, but apparently I liked it a lot more than I thought I did because I've thought about it over and over and over again. And I'm like, I really need to buy those other volumes because I want to know. So I'm adjusting it to a solid 7 right now where it's at with the first 5 issues.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so this is a 7 for me too, because again, the emotional depth that's there, and knowing what I know from the next few issues, like this is a very solid first volume. And I'm trying to only base that number on this, but
Mm-hmm.
with the knowledge that they are cooking. And even though I was pissed when it ended the way it did, it's fine. Like it's
Okay.
fine. So yeah, I'm feel very lucky that so far we have picked two books that have been pretty good on
Agreed.
our
Agreed.
little, what's it called, trial of doing just volumes experiment.
Yeah, no, I honestly I do I think I like it a little bit better than trying to read full runs just because like you get like a little bit of a taste and maybe like if we do like something we could revisit it in the next month. Not where
Yeah,
we're trying to like crunch in, 40 or 50 issues in a month.
yeah,
The
so
little
glad we haven't
bite-sized
done that.
pieces are are a little better.
Mm.
Looking at you, Ultimate X-Men over there on the shelf. I see you.
Moving my family again.
Dude, that was crazy. Two omnibuses worth in a month? Nuts.
We were so young and so optimistic and enthusiastic, And
Yeah.
you know what? I think that was our origin story. That was our Nathan brain death, was reading Extreme X-Men. Because immediately we're like, we need to do something fun. We need to have fun. Let's do the Fantastic Four. Then we immediately were like, let's only read 5 issues a week. Us reading our like future episodes like 3 months from now. Today's episode, we're talking about Absolute Batman number 14. Like,
We're
just
talking
what?
about Skin Breaker number 8.
What is Skinbreaker?
That's your favorite book. What do you mean? It's your favorite book. What are you talking about?
That guy's gonna be at Heroes Con, David Finch. So
Okay, nice. Nice,
I
nice.
might roll up with all 9 issues and be like, I love you so much.
Listen,
eBay.
his art is really good. And
Agreed. His
honestly,
art is incredible.
the story was good, except for the fact that A, everyone looks the same. B, nothing really happens in like 8 issues. I'm sorry. I read all 8 of them, and like honestly, I was like, I am glad this is over, and I don't have to buy it anymore. Anyway, maybe I just can't appreciate it. Maybe I just can't appreciate it. I don't know.
Maybe
But
sometimes you've been Kirkman out.
yeah,
Maybe you Kirkman out a
Kirkman
bit.
didn't cook for me, so he didn't cook this one for me. So, but I'm excited for Terminal that comes out in July.
I am also excited for Terminal.
So I'm looking at Skinbreaker because at the end of the issue, because I've already read it, they have like a small excerpt for Terminal. And you should look at this man's face.
That's my ex-boyfriend.
He's terrifying.
Yeah, he was.
He's giving Homelander vibes. Anyway,
Oh, he is.
that's all I have.
He is right there, yeah. I'm very excited about that. That's like didn't you say that's like Walking Dead meets the X-Men?
That's what they said in the in the interview that they did in something in the comics magazine.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember. I'm excited about it. I don't know much about the X-Men, so it'll be fun to get to know.
But yeah, it's okay. I don't
S-
know much about the Fantastic Four either. It's okay.
yeah, yeah. Speaking of other things in pop culture that we don't know about, is there something pop culture wise that you want to pitch to our listeners this week that you're obsessed with right now? Looks at Pokemon cards.
Yeah, no shit.
Okay, actually, if you don't have something on hand, I would love to hear you talk about the feeling of playing the game, because I'm fascinated by that. I've never really gotten to play the game, and the fact that you're like good at it and have won multiple
Hmm.
now.
I mean, yes. No, it's like a fun kind of card game once you kind of have like a decent deck built and stuff. Just like playing against other people's and other people's decks, trying to like hope that you're not running into like something that is a weakness for you, right? So like for instance, I run like a fighting deck. So like for me, usually grass is my weakness. And right now grass decks are super heavy in Pokemon right now. So anytime I go up against a grass deck, I'm probably going to lose. And so it's kind of fun to see if you can still squeak out a victory, like if the card gods are in your favor at that point in time, because you can build a deck and it'd be really, really good. but sometimes you don't draw the cards that you need to draw, right? It's all about luck. It's all about kind of like it's partially luck, partially skill, partially kind of like trying to figure out what your opponent has. But like for instance, on Friday night, Chris and I went to a pre-release party where they give you these things called build and battle decks, and you get like a 40 card deck plus 4 other packs in there that you can open, and you can input put some of the cards that you open into your deck if you think it'll help or what have you. And I played against a guy, and we got to the end of our battle, and it was either I kill him. So first off, I was confused in my battle, which means basically like I have to flip a coin, and if it's heads, I succeeded hitting him. If it's tails, then I hit myself. And so it was either I took a risk on hitting him with my attack or trying to hit him, or he just kills me in the next turn. And I was like, you know what? We're gonna roll, or we're gonna flip a coin, and we're gonna see. And I won that battle on a coin flip. So it's just, I don't know, it's just fun. And the fact that I got my sister and Chris to play as well, and they both had a really good time, even though Chris was like, this is the nerdiest shit I've ever done in my life. But he was like, but it was still fun. And like, he's been talking about building a deck and trying to get a deck built. And Michelle's even like, yeah, I kind of want to build one too. Like, can I go with you on Thursday? Like, it's just been really cool. So yeah, I don't know. It's just been really fun. And it's just really cool to like, get your deck out there. I have like a cheese kind of a deck where I'm not gonna get into it, but it's just really fun. It truly is fun, and I'm kind of sad that it took so long for me to finally like try and play it, because I've been so scared to go to a card shop and play, just because like I've played Magic the Gathering before, and dudes aren't nice. They're not nice. Whereas like this, like going to Pokemon, first I was worried I was going to be the oldest person there. I wasn't. There were lots more adults than I thought there were going to be. There were still some young, like teenagers, but like most of them were like young adults, a little bit younger adults than me. So like that was kind of nice. But everybody was really welcoming, and they were like, just really welcoming. It was really fun. That's really all I got.
I'm happy that you've had a positive experience. It's funny that you bring up Magic the Gathering and how mean those guys are, because that is the truth. They are. I guess now I'm going to ask a vulnerable question. Did these gatherings smell better than Magic the Gathering gatherings?
They did.
I was about to say, it seems like they would smell better. Well, good deal.
There are some people that maybe need to wash their hair, but sometimes I need to wash my hair, so it all kind of whatever.
I relate to that.
But the smell was fine. Yeah, you relate to washing your hair.
My long, flowing, beautiful locks. Also, and listen, this next part we can cut if you don't want me to talk about it. But I find it hilarious that you said Chris is like, this is the nerdiest shit I've ever done. As if he didn't find his wife on Halo on Xbox 360 back in the day. You know what I mean?
You know what?
I was like,
that's funny.
I was like, I know the lore. Okay, you're like on a wraith, and he's like, "You want to meet up in person sometime?" Riding on the wraith. That's in my head canon of what it was like.
I can't wait to tell him that actually when I get out, because that's actually fucking hilarious.
Y'all's love story is really, really sweet, though. I love that.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, okay. I think I'm done.
What do you have, Gary?
I'm talking about pop culture wise.
Yeah, pop culture wise. What do you got? You don't have to have anything. I was wondering.
Because I was like, listen, when I asked you, I was like, I'm gonna think about pop culture, because when I asked you in the moment, I realized I don't have anything, and I was like, I'm gonna think about it while she's talking, and then I was too interested.
So funny. That's fine. You don't have to have something.
I don't have like a big pitch for anything because I haven't prepared, but I'm going to recommend 2 things that I'm obsessed with right now. The new album by Muna, Dancing on the Wall. It came out Friday. It is spectacular, and I think it has the potential to be the album of the summer. MUNA is the band name. I'm pretty sure they're from Texas. I could be wrong. In my brain,
I've seen them.
They sang that song "Silk Chiffon." They also did the song on the video that I posted today about our Pride stuff.
That's it. I know Silk Chiffon with Phoebe Bridgers. That's where I know it. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Oh my God! I'm so glad you brought this up. Phoebe Bridgers, a new album is happening, and she performed this weekend I don't
I'm
know
so excited.
I don't know the details on the album yet, but I saw that video, and then Danny's Comics, one of our favorites. If gonna go ahead and take another rabbit hole, if you like really aesthetic, beautiful videos on your TikTok, and you like really intentional collecting, Danny's Comics is one of the best creators on the platform. Give him a follow. But Danny posted and was like, in honor of new Phoebe Bridgers album, here are these portraits that I took of her in 2019. It's Danny's like a portrait photographer.
That's crazy.
Like
I haven't seen this video.
in his
I'm gonna have to
spare
go find it.
time, and he took a picture of her in Texas in 2019. It's on his story. He took 2 pictures of her, or he posted 2 pictures. Like, there's probably more. But yeah, Danny's lived a really cool life. Phoebe Bridgers' new album. Oh, the other thing that I was going to say that I'm obsessed with right now is this new show that's on HBO called Half Man. It is a show that is written and directed and stars Richard Gadd, who wrote the breakout show of 2024, Baby Reindeer, on Netflix. I don't know if you watched that, but it's like a true crime story. When he was young in his comedian life, this woman came to one of his shows and stalked him for years, like in a crazy, crazy, scary way.
That's crazy.
And yeah, it's his true story. It's on Netflix. But his new show, Half Man, stars him and Jamie Bell of Billy Elliot fame, and they are 2 stepbrothers that became stepbrothers when they were in their late teens and developed an incredibly toxic relationship that lasts through their entire life. And it is a show that you do not know what is going to happen at any moment. And there's so much tension, and the acting is so magnificent, and the writing is right up there with it as well. I have a feeling it's going to win a lot of Emmys this year, like a lot of them. So that's it right now. There's a lot of boxing in it. They box, the brothers do. But yeah, it's really great. It's very British. And I love it. British, Irish, Scottish, all of those vibes. I love a United Kingdom, if you will. So those are my pitches for the week.
That's funny.
But yeah, the Moon album, I think you'll like a lot. Very good vibe. They opened for Taylor in Texas at the beginning of the Eras tour.
No, I saw. Who did I see? I saw Bippity Boppity. No, what is her name?
Gracie.
I saw Gracie, but it was somebody else. It was like Billy. I say Bippity Boppity. That's not her name.
Biba Doobie.
Biba Doobie. That one. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
She was so brand new. That's so cool that you got to see her.
Gracie.
Didn't she like make her dress for the show?
I don't remember.
Wait, was that on the leg with Tortured Poets added? Tortured Poets form added? Oh, okay. Then I'm thinking of someone else. But Biba Doobie, yeah. Biba Doobie was brand new back then.
And then when I saw her in Minneapolis, it was... Hold on. I have to Google it now because I've already forgotten her name. It was Girl in Red and Owen. I don't know who Owen is, but Girl in Red is fantastic.
Girl, red flag, Owen. Girl in red flag, Owen. It all connects. It's all a circle. Life is a circle. We're back to Owen being a red flag. That's incredible that you got to see Girl in Red. 2021 Garen would be very, very jealous of you because 2021 Garen was super depressed and listening to a lot of Girl in Red.
That's fair. That's fair.
And Phoebe Bridgers and Phoebe.
But
this new album... Go ahead.
I once bought a special pressing of Phoebe Bridgers' album, the one with the skeleton on it. Can't think of what it's called. The skeleton one. It's not really a skeleton. It's like blue. It's like blue sky and like red. And it has like a little like skeleton.
Punisher.
I don't know. Yes,
Punisher.
that one.
Yeah.
I bought a really cool variant vinyl of that, and I took it home. I paid like $80 for it. It was ridiculous. Took it home. Put it on my vinyl player, and because it was a used copy, there was a scratch on it that caused it to skip, and therefore I took it back. But it was like one of the coolest things, like one of the coolest variants I ever had. But it was just that one spot too, that one spot that skipped, and I was like, I can't justify $80 for a record that skips.
Yeah, no, agreed.
So
I would have taken it back too. I would have been so sad about that. I don't have that one on vinyl. I have like a special edition where she like redid 5 of the songs like with strings, like acoustic, and it's pretty, but I never found Punisher anywhere. The version that I wanted. I bet you got the version that I wanted.
You also fuck with what is it? I just had their name in my... Thank you, yes. I was like, I just had their name in my head and it's gone.
Yeah, I do. Their debut album is not their EP. Their EP is incredible, but their debut album is one of the best albums I've ever listened to in my life. And on vinyl, have you listened to it on vinyl?
I don't think so, no.
So I don't know if you know
Or not?
like the very last song on the album. You should. Well, you may maybe not. It's a gimmick, but their very last song on the album, the sound gets all weird. Like on Spotify, the sound gets all weird and it goes off.
Mm-hmm.
On the album, they employed this like little groove into the design. So when it gets to the end of that song, when the sound gets weird, it plays into eternity. You have to turn it off or it will never stop playing that sound.
Well, that's crazy. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is
That's
very
kind of
cool.
cool.
Then they won all the Grammys and then they just broke up. Devastating. Yep.
It was
That is
this
the
one.
one. That's the one I
Yeah,
wanted.
it was that
That's
one. And like I
incredible.
said, I got it. I got it home and it skipped. Oh, here we go. This is a better one. It has the marbling. Come on, focus.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
You know what I'm talking about. It won't focus.
Yeah, I love that album so much. But what I was going to say earlier, because there's a new album, there will be a tour. I don't know if you have seen Phoebe. I have
I
seen
have
Phoebe.
not. I have not.
Immaculate performer. She sounds so good and the band is crazy. So maybe there'll be a city between us that we can meet at and see Phoebe Bridgers. That would be really
That
sick.
sounds really cool. So yes, we'll have to keep that in our brains for when she decides to do that. I will say though, I did try to get tickets when she opened for Taylor, and they were ridiculously priced. And I was like, I am not buying tickets for that.
Yeah. So I had tickets to that in Nashville, and I didn't get to go
yes,
because I had a show that ended. It was a Sunday night. My show ended when a show ends, you have to tear it on the set. We were gonna leave strike early and go, but we were like, we won't get there in time. We'll fully miss Boy Genius. So we did not go. Y'all, that was the night that the rain delayed the show for hours. So we could
that
have
was when
made
she
it.
announced Speak Now.
Yeah, devastating. But
I'm sorry, dude.
oh my God, it's okay. It's okay. I'll see her one day. Taylor Swift, Phoebe Bridgers aside, do you have any more thoughts on Radiant Black before we hit the road?
I do not have any thoughts on Radiant Black, but we didn't talk about any comic news this week yet.
Well, okay, period. I didn't write that down. I forgot to write that down this week. Thank you for catching that. I don't have any. Do you have
You're
any?
welcome. Just that we got some updated information about what is it, Marvel's new Midnight?
The Midnight titles, yeah.
Yeah, the Midnight titles. So we officially have, what is it, X-Men written by Jonathan Hickman, Fantastic Four written by Benjamin Percy, and Spider-Man written by Philip Kennedy Johnson. And honestly, what I've read about Spider-Man so far has me freaked the fuck out because Philip Kennedy Johnson does body horror so well. So like I am super worried. Like not worried, but like
Yeah.
I'm a little freaked out what he's gonna do with Spider-Man.
Yeah. I am very excited about it, especially Hickman returning to X-Men. It's very well known that he did not get to finish Krakoa in the way that he wanted to. And I have a feeling that these are not going to be long-term runs. I could be wrong. They could end up being absolute, and run for years, but I feel like they won't. Marvel's very famous for not letting things go. So
You're right. And I honestly I really hope this is where they like decide they want to do a long-term thing because I don't know, like I could see it being able to last long, but I also could see it not lasting, like having enough juice to last that long. So like it'll be interesting to kind of see where each writer takes their characters because I think you and I talked about it a little bit earlier today. You had said like I like the idea of them being like a different version of themselves and being maybe bad guys. But like how far can you stretch that? How far can you stretch them being bad guys? And so, yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting idea. It kind of reminds me a little bit of when they did the Marvel, what was it? Black Label? No, Marvel Knights. They did Marvel Knights, so they did like a darker, grittier version of like everything, and that's kind of what it reminds me of. So maybe that'll be sprinkled in. Maybe they're not bad guys. I don't know, but X-Men seems interesting. I'm also excited for Hickman back on X-Men, although I haven't read a lot of Hickman's X-Men. What I have read, I really, really liked. Always worried about that ending, though. Always worried about the Hickman ending.
Yeah.
And I will say I have read a little bit more about the Fantastic Four, and that Benjamin Percy's writing them. And he did say, let's see, on getting the chance to explore his darkest impulses, Percy explained, "If you've read my work, you know that I see the world through a dark, disturbed lens. To me, it's always midnight. Percy explained, when Hickman called me, it was from a landline in the basement of an abandoned house with wires cut. Blood poured from the receiver into my ears as I said yes. When I imagined this other version of Marvel, a terrifying, poisoned universe, my mind immediately went to the Fantastic Four. This is a title I've always loved, but would never be allowed to write otherwise. Now I could lean into my worst instincts and reimagine their story as one of cosmic Lovecraftian dread, which I think is an interesting sentence because I love Lovecraftian horror, so I'm interested to see what Percy does with that.
Yeah. And going back to the comment that you made where we talked earlier about like what kind of longevity is there in telling stories about bad characters, because like there's not a lot of long runs about villains, about evil things. People love a hero. That's typically what sells a book. There are long horror runs, but usually those are led by heroes. After we talked about it, I did read a bit more about Midnight X-Men, and it seems like, first of all, for anyone who doesn't know, it's about the mutants are like vampires as well. But also there's like two factions. There's a vampire faction and then something called an empire faction, and I don't really know what that word means. But it's about warring factions, and so I feel like Hickman's going to be doing a lot of like morally gray stuff, and I think that there probably will be a clear hero. I have a feeling it will be Nightcrawler. He's kind of that vibe in every, X-Men. He's kind of like the one pure good one. So I feel like it's going to be him versus Storm, which will be interesting. But as far as like cosmic Lovecraftian horror, I cannot even imagine what that looks like in my head, and I'm very excited about that. Not stoked about Spider-Man because I also don't love body horror, and I immediately was like, they're just going to do like man spider stuff and it's going to be disgusting, and I don't really love to see skin stretch in a non-Reed Richards kind of way.
So I'll also just go ahead and read the Spider-Man blurb just so people, if you're not going to read it, I'll just tell you about it. Not you, the listeners. A young Peter Parker is transformed into a hideous spider hybrid by the ruthless Oscorp Corporation in their pursuit for eternal life. When Oscorp begins to use the secrets unlocked by his mutation to create more human-animal hybrids, Peter embraces his grotesque new form to stop them. The work we're doing right now on the Midnight Line feels like history being made, Johnson shares. We're all bringing creator-owned sensibilities to our project. We're redefining boundaries. We're reinventing these timeless characters in a way that's never been done. Midnight is nothing like the main line, nothing like the Ultimate Line. You will see things in these books that will shock you. You don't take on a job like reinventing Spider-Man to go halfway, he continued. I'm leaving it all in the ring with Midnight Spider-Man, and I know Jonathan and Ben are doing the same. So, as I said before, it sounds really cool, but the body horror thing has me kind of like I've read some of his work on the Incredible Hulk, and it's great. It is fantastic, but the body horror art freaks me out.
Yeah. That's just not our jam. That's not for us. I will give it a try. I also think from a marketing standpoint, it's very smart of them to release it August, September, October because of Halloween. Because if it doesn't sell well in those first few months, they can just be like, it was a Halloween event and just be done with it. But I do feel like it's going to sell enough that I think it will easily make it to at least 10 issues. Spider-Man absolutely will make it to 10 issues. I worry more about X-Men and Fantastic Four.
Nah. X-Men probably will. If any of them aren't going to make it to 10, it'll be Fantastic Four.
Maybe not, though. What if it's like the sleeper agent of the three, and it's like just fucking so crazy that in the message that you sent me earlier. Yeah. In the message that you sent me earlier, you said they instead choose to rain terror upon Earth. And I was like, interesting. So like all four of them together, they're like that guy. What was his name? The Frightful Four?
The Wizard.
The Wizard.
The Wizard.
I think it's going to be interesting to get to see Sue Storm in that way, kind of like we have been with Malice, which, by the way, I have not read last week's issue yet. I hope it was good.
Oh, I need you to tell me when you do, please. Thank you.
Okay. Did you like it?
I've been meaning to ask you. It was fine.
Okay. Well, that's sad.
I was very sad reading it. I'm sorry to kind of spoil it for you, but I was very sad reading it.
I mean, we had a feeling whenever we realized it was only going to be 2 real issues with her,
It was just very anticlimactic. They built her up, right? And then it was just anticlimactic.
Okay, period. Good.
I think someone said, and I've seen someone talk about Ryan North's writing, and I think he is more built to do what he was doing in his original run, where he writes single issue stories, right? maybe a
Hmm.
small arc, maybe like a 2 or 3 issue arc. But something like this Malice arc has been going on since like issue 6. So it's a bit of a longer arc, and I think that's not where he excels as much as he does doing like single issues.
Do you think that maybe they were like, "Hey, wrap it up. We got to go into Armageddon," and the Fantastic Four are a big part of Armageddon. Sue is
You
on
know
that
what?
team.
Probably, because we're gonna throw out the main line because we have to do stupid, events, right? So
Yeah,
we're basically gonna fuck up the main lines and be like, oh, you want to tell a story? Well, you have to wrap it up now,
yeah.
So
We've seen that happen with so
it's
many
it's been
things.
it's been happening since the '80s. Look at the first Malice arc. Hey,
Yeah.
sorry.
History truly repeating itself in a very specific way. That's wild, actually. Secret Wars and Armageddon.
Are you gonna read
That's
Armageddon?
wild. Um, digitally.
Okay, me too. Me too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I will not be picking it up. I don't have space.
I only have space for X-Men.
Yeah, literally. Um, okay. Do you have any final thoughts on Radiant Black before we hit the road? Because literally I have
I
to hit the road.
do. I do not. I do not.
Okay, I don't either. Same time next week.
Same bat time, same bat channel.